What's happening, y'all? Um, I know I'm just looking any old kind of way right now, but y'all see this bonnet on my head, right? Um, hmm, I don't know who this is for. I feel like I'm upside down. This is just a weird angle. I'm sorry, but a lot of times the job that I do has me doing a lot of reflecting, and boy, it can get kind of heavy. Um, as most of you know, I guess you know, I work in the mental health field, and I've been in this field for over 10 years. I grew up pretty much um, dealing with this when I was younger, uh, from like the age of 2, I would say, till I was about 6 or so. Um, Living with my grandmother, she had a double house, and it was in we lived in New York, and it was a double house. I remember this house. I loved that house. And it was a red house, big red house. And we lived on one side, and 8 male patients lived on the other side. Um, I remember when I was little, I had a tooth that was loose. And I went up to one of the patients. His name was Barry. And I remember Barry simply because of this incident. I went up to him and I was like, my tooth is loose. He's sitting on the porch and he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, come here, let me see. So I go over to him and I open up my mouth and I show him, like, see? And he like wiggles it. And he's like, oh, it is loose. And he grabbed it real fast and snatched it, twisted it and snatched it out of my mouth. And he's looking at it. He's like, it ain't loose no more. And he's like, here. And I'm like, oh, because now I've got like blood coming down. But when I say it was loose, it was super loose. It was like I could take that tooth and bend it all the way down. Was just, I wanted it to naturally fall out. Because usually, like, what would happen when it would get to a point where it was so loose, my mom would tie thread around it. And she'd be like, okay, you ready? 1, 2, 3. And she would, snap and it would come out on the string and it'd be twirling. But this time I kind of just wanted it to like fall out on its own. So he took it, and I'm like, got blood running down my face. And I run inside, telling my grandmom, and my grandmom yelled at him. But it wasn't anything like really bad. Like he wasn't trying to hurt me or anything. But um, I've been around mentally ill patients for a very long time. When me and my brother, with my mom, when we got a bit older, my mom ended up allowing 2 patients to live with us, Jay and Gloria. I was about 17, 18, somewhere around there. And yeah, that didn't last long because Gloria, this chick, one, she broke the handle off of a cast iron pan, and me and my brother could not for the life of us figure out what the hell was she doing that she was able to break the handle off of a cast iron pan. Who does that? And then she damn near burnt the house down because she was smoking in the bathroom. My mom was like, okay, we're not doing this no more. We got rid of them quick after that. And Jay used to just love walking around the house with a shirt and drawers. Gloria was always damn near naked because she had this long robe that she would wear with no clothes on underneath and lightly, you know, wrap it in front of her with no belt to tie it up. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't have anybody. I can't have friends over at the house. Like it was crazy. Um, but I don't know. In a million years, I never would have actually thought that I would be in the mental health field, and I am. And some of the stories that I hear about the kids, people in general, but working with an adolescent population, it's really sad. And like I said, it makes me reflect a lot. Um, I tend to think about where would I be? How is it that I've been so blessed to be able to keep my wits about me? Um, and I'm definitely going to preface this to say that this may be triggering for some. I'm not going to go into no strong detail, but if it starts to feel like it is, please stop watching this video. But I remember um, one, we're always hearing about all these different things that people, children, end up going through. And I feel like as a worker, if you um, sometimes it may be a little harder to um, understand the mindset of what a lot of these adolescents are going through if you haven't experienced some of the things that they've experienced. Now, for me, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing because a lot of the population have had issues where they were running away, they um, were SA'd. If you don't know what that is, they were sexually abused. Um, they did a lot of things, and they're in survival mode and are learning how to develop coping skills along with as they're developing, and a lot of them are not developing the right way. Because some of them actually do have, of course, mental health issues. Some of them are delayed in their learning. So the thing is, when I encounter staff that kind of take things a bit lightly or are not really able to sympathize or even empathize with the kids to be able to handle their behavior. Like when you're in training and you're hearing about how to deal with the children is one thing, but it's different when you have to actually do it. When the rubber meets the road, it's different. And I feel like, yeah, you get it in the class, you understand the concept of something that these kids are doing certain things and the behaviors may be triggering for you, and you're going to have to learn how to do X, Y, Z to handle it and understand that they're displaying this behavior because it's coming from a traumatized mindset. An example for me would be when I was a teenager. I had been sexually assaulted. I won't say the R word, but I was many times. The one time that my mom knew about was when I was 19 and I was going to barbering school with her, and the teacher ended up doing it. I ended up having nightmares. I was not eating. I was having a hard time sleeping because I was having nightmares. I was afraid to go to sleep. I didn't want to go to sleep. I withdrew. I didn't want to see anybody. I only seen one friend. I allowed one friend to come and see me at that time, and that was my best friend. I've talked about him before, Nakasi. At the time, he was going by the name of Paul, but he legally changed his name. And I didn't want to see anybody else. Anybody else that came that wanted to see me, family or friends, no. But he came by to see me. And my mom came upstairs and she had asked me, if it was okay, if, like he hadn't seen me in a while, he was concerned about me. And so he came up, I let him come up. And, because I was in bed, I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't eating. I was showering all the time. I felt so dirty. And I was depressed. And he just looked at me and was saying he's like, what is going on with you? Because I had lost weight. And this was about 2-3 weeks after it happened. I wasn't going to the school. My mom didn't understand what was going on. I was just telling her that I was sick. I didn't feel good. And he was like, what's going on? And I just looked at him and I said the teacher's name. And he was just like, he's like, you have to tell your mom. Because he knew. He's like, you have to tell your mom. I said, I can't. I said, I can't do it because she's also going to school. She was going part-time. And I said she wants to get her certification, and I don't want to stand in her way of being able to do that because I know that because I just quit. Straight out, I quit. I said I don't want to get in the way of her being able to finish getting her certification. And I think that when my mom did find out, because when he left, he went down and he spoke to her, and because I told him I didn't want him to like really say anything. And he said that he just told her, he said, you just need to talk to her. Like, he said, look at her. He said, you'll know what's going on. You look at her and talk to her. And when she found out, because she like really, really took a look at me because I didn't even want to see her. But she came in, the room and like really, really looked at me. And when she put it together, she was like, that son of a bitch. And she had such a hard time because she still had to go there and be, in the class. And now mind you, me and my mom were the only females that were going there at the time. Class full of guys, and the guys loved us. Decent guys. Well, when my mom got done going down there and letting it be known, because she still had to figure out a way to go and still earn her certificate without being around him. But she told the head person in charge what happened. And when I tell you, when those guys found out, ooh, they all wanted to hurt him. They all wanted to hurt him. And it ain't like, I don't know, I just feel like, you begin to develop relationships and rapport with guys, and we did. And they, looked out for us because we were the only females, there in the class. And so, how you kind of build a certain type of camaraderie with those that you go through something with. And when I was so embarrassed, like I didn't want to go back, but when I finally did come back, and like everybody came over to me, and all the guys, they came over and they gave me a hug, and they were saying that they were like so sorry that happened to me. They were like, you're like the sweetest person, and because I was like, pretty quiet still and everything, so they was just like, you let us know, like we will fuck his ass up. We will fuck, like, oh my gosh, the guy, they had to get rid of him, and he had to leave anyway, because when I tell you, they was ready to have his ass on a platter. They were so that experience was challenging for me. And one of the other times that it happened was when I had a boyfriend, and we were supposed to be together, but what happened was during the time he cheated on me. I broke up with him, and we were separated for like a good 5-6 months or so, maybe a little bit more than that. And I refused to see him. Like, we worked in the same building together, and anytime I seen him, I was like, I don't want to see you. We both worked in the mental health field, and we were seeing each other for a good while. And when this incident happened, I literally, when I'll say like this, when we broke up, I literally just did not want to see him. So when he would come down the hallway and I would see him, I would like turn around and walk like fast. Um, so when we did get together and I was in church at the time, we were dating for like a good, we were seeing each other for like 6 years. We actually at this point, when we did get back together, because he was like, can I just talk to you? And we kind of decided to be together. And I told him, listen, this time around, I said, I really want to do things right. I said, I know that we've been together physically, but that doesn't mean that we have to continue to do that. I said, I'm really trying to do things the right way. And if we're going to be together and be married, I would like us to do it in a respectful way, because I really want to follow, the things that I should be doing and be more virtuous. And so we agreed that we would date. We wouldn't have sex until we got married. We took marital classes, and this is when I was a Seventh-day Adventist. And it was about 4 or 5 months in. And I remember he came over to my place. I was off this day. And I was cooking. We were, I won't even say we were like roughly playing, but we were like playing around. Like I like sat on his lap and pretended that I was like tying him up, like with a rope or whatever. And I guess he got aroused. And I didn't, when I say it was like so short, it was so short of a time of me like messing around with him. Like I literally like sat down. I forget what the conversation was about, but I sat on him and was like, oh, I got you now, like kind of thing. And then I got up, went back to the kitchen to finish doing some cooking. I had sweats on, very, very, very loose sweats. And I had allergies really bad, y'all. This time of year, my God. My throat's been scratchy too. Like today has been a day. So when I got done checking the food and I went over to sit next to him on the couch, he started pawing at me really, really hard. And I was like, stop, stop. What are you doing? Like, stop. And I got super, super serious. Like, stop. Like, what are you doing? Because now he started tugging at my clothes really, really hard. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, stop. He was not saying a word. It was almost like he was possessed or just in a trance. I don't know what it was. But I struggled with him, and at that time I'm already a small person. I think I only weighed about maybe 127, 130, 130 pounds. And he's about 220, 230 pounds. He's like 6 feet tall. And I believe I struggled with him for about a good half hour to 40 minutes strong, trying to keep my pants up because he kept trying to pull my pants down. And he had me to the point where, if this is my body, I'm laying on the ground. He had my legs up in the air and was pulling at my pants, and I'm literally pulling them down, trying to get, and I'm like, stop, like yelling. It's just me and him in my apartment. I'm yelling like, stop, what are you doing? And I'm like, look, like we said that we would not do anything. And the whole time I'm yelling at him, I'm telling him, stop, no. I'm telling him, don't. I'm like trying to talk to him. He's not saying not one freaking word. And I'm just like, I don't know what the hell. And it got to the point where he almost had me one time because I was face down on the couch with one arm stuck under me. But when we were on the floor, because we wrestled literally all around my living room, from the furniture onto the floor. And by the time we got on the floor and he had me face down, I had one arm stuck underneath me and he was holding the other hand. And he ended up sexually assaulting me um, in my living room on the floor. And from that point, you know, when it was over, I literally just, he sat down like it was nothing and laughed. And I told him to get out. I punched him. I went in the bathroom and I was in there and I just started crying and I came out and I just punched him and he's like, hey, like, that's when he started talking like, what are you doing? What's wrong? What are you doing? What the fuck? What do you mean what's wrong? I said, get out. I literally kicked him out, but I started having flashbacks and I went back into that whole thing of what happened from when I was assaulted from my teacher, um, and a person before that. I was having the nightmares. I was jumping. Like if somebody were to come up behind me or get too close, or I see a shadow. Oh, it just was horrible. And I say all that to say this. I had to use whatever coping skills that I could to get through that because I wasn't going to any counseling at the time. I did get counseling, but I had been through so much, have been through so much from the time that I was like 5 years old up to the age of about 12 being molested. And then um, just the assaults that happened after I was 16 up to, and he wasn't even the first boyfriend that's done that to me. And so the thing is, when you don't really understand the effects of what that can do to you, your mind, and looking at the population that we deal with, I feel like they take a lot of their behavior lightly because you don't really understand the mindset that you're dealing with. And for me, I feel like the thing that really helped me and saved me, which a lot of counselors, when they've spoken to me, they're like, my God, like, you seem so well, like so healthy. And it's like, but I don't feel that way because I'm still looking at what's inside of me that's being projected out that I see based off of the relationships that I have or what it is that I'm attracting. You know, there's still that internal work that you need to do. And I feel like I had a good foundation that helped me because at the time I was a Christian, so I have a strong belief in God. And even though my views have changed where I'm not a Christian, I still have a very firm foundation of spirituality that has helped me to deal with a lot of the, sorry y'all, a lot of the abuse that's happened. Whereas these adolescents that are here, I don't believe that they have a lot of that guidance. For everything that I've gone through, my mom was there whenever she could be there, but I still feel like she was not fully present. She was not really aware or paying attention to me like that to actually know, what was going on. It was almost like she was afraid to talk to me. Like when it got to the point where a male friend had to talk to her and tell her, you know, you need to like really look at your daughter. Like you can't tell by looking at her what's wrong, what's going on. Like I was no more than, for the longest, I think I've only been about 125 pounds. So imagine how small I was for like 2 weeks of not eating when that first assault ended up happening. Um, Sometimes I felt like my mom was just kind of blind and didn't want to see things. Like it was just easier for her to ignore it, not address it. And maybe she just felt uncomfortable and didn't know how. So she just, kind of left things in a place where, oh, I'll be fine. I just need time to myself, because that's how she's always dealt with me. But that also, to me, I felt like was a bit of neglect and abuse within itself, because she was never really present to pay attention to me, to what was actually going on with me, to be able to look at me and say something. I know what's normal and what is abnormal for my child. And I get it where parents have to work and stuff like that, but I feel like she did not really look at me as a person. And I feel like a lot of young people kind of go through that, where their parents don't pay that type of attention to them. And for them to come into a facility where there's trained staff that are supposed to be there to actually care for the well-being of these individuals, sometimes I just don't feel like the training is in depth enough, or to the point where they actually get it and really understand what these young people could be going through if they've had all this trauma, this abuse, this neglect, this sexual assault, the emotional abuse, physical abuse, being, and anybody that's come from my era was in a time where kids are supposed to be seen and not heard. My mom was really strict. On top of that, my family being Jamaican and having these ways with them. But then culturally, a lot of black families were in this way where, you just don't talk about it. Like it's going to go away, or that's going to make things better. Or, what happens here stays here. And all these different things that are so dysfunctional, that are not good. And me, as a person that has experienced a lot of these things that these kids have gone through, it's heartbreaking, especially to see that there are other staff that go through the training but really have no real idea of just how traumatized these kids are, that they get so easily frustrated with their behavior, because we go through the classes and we learn this is behavior that stems from trauma. And if I could tell you some of the things that I've gone through and some of the things that I've done, like I'm pretty sure that my mom would have a different perspective on this, but to a large degree, I feel like I was neglected. I know that I was neglected. I was not really cared for in the way that I should have been. My mom did not really pay attention to me like that to know that I needed more, to the point where I used to steal clothes just so that I could have decent clothes because I was outgrowing my clothes. And my mom didn't notice. I would take my auntie's clothes. There was two pair of purple pants that they had, and I absolutely loved these pants, and I took them. I remember those, but they were like other clothes that they had. I used to sneak and take their clothes because my mom wasn't buying me clothes, and I was outgrowing everything. I remember one Christmas, my mom buying me a pair of Sassoon jeans. Um, and I had this rainbow striped shirt and my rainbow suspenders. For whatever reason, I used to love them. I thought that this shirt was so pretty. It was like a turtleneck. Um, but very rarely do I remember my mom really, really getting me things, clothes that like it seemed like she was always more concerned about getting things for my brother. Like I remember my mom buying my brother two pair of sneakers. Oh, well, he's a boy. He's always, outgrowing his stuff fast and messing things up because he's so rough. And but you ain't looking at me and noticing the things that I need. Like she paid so little attention to me that when it was time for me to wear a training bra, my mom literally went out and got me a training bra that did not fit. Simply because my stuff was bigger than needing to be trained. It was past the A cup by that point. And you trying to come to me with a freaking training bra. A training bra is what you get when you start to see little bumps come out on little girls. I was well beyond that point. And when she finally did it, I don't know if somebody else told her, and she's like, because I think she only looked at it as like an age thing. Okay, well, she's this age. She has to need a training bra by now. And she told me to try it on, and I tried it on, and I told her it doesn't fit. What do you mean it doesn't fit? You're probably putting it on wrong. You don't know what you're doing. I was like, no, it doesn't fit. I said, it's too small. What do you mean it's too small? It can't be too small. I know you can't be bigger than me. Let me see. And oh my God. I was like, I'm not coming out my room with no shirt on. Like, it's too small. Like, what you think that I don't know? So she comes in the room and she looks and she's like, oh my God, when did you get so big? Did my mom ever notice anything about me? I would steal from her so I could have clothes, decent sized clothes to wear because my mom was not buying me clothes that fit. I be going to school wearing high waters. Like I don't know but she always made sure that she had shit for herself. Like she stayed looking decent, 2 to 9. But when it came to me, for whatever reason, I feel like I was highly neglected. And some of that I feel kind of goes into what I perceive of how she felt about my father because he didn't he kind of disowned me when I was a kid, so I was kind of abandoned, not kind of, but I was abandoned by my father. He didn't claim me as a child, said that I wasn't his. But my mom had a better relationship with my brother's father. And I feel like a lot of what she felt for him got projected onto me. So in my eyes, I was neglected a lot. On top of the abuse that caused me to do certain things. And again, I know that it can be very trying to deal with the demographic of adolescence that we have, but I also feel like there has to be something more that the staff grab hold to truly understand, to not get so frustrated when they do what I would almost consider as little things. They're not throwing no real tantrums or whatever, but they just need to see, they need some kind of attention. I don't mind giving them that attention. I don't mind talking to them. I don't mind encouraging them. So, when I was in Florida and I was working, and this is another one of those songs that that's part of my playlist of what I listen to in the morning that helps encourage me, and I've shared it with the kids that I used to work with. And and again, as I started this video, I said, I don't know who needs to hear this, but this is one of those things that I would listen to because, as a kid, and you're going through things, sometimes you don't really feel this way. And I'm glad that Londrell made this, because I just feel like it really, really hits home, and it has hit home for a lot of the kids.
Take your time, nurture your soul, embrace the highs, work through the lows, master yourself, work on your goals. Just take a breath, let go it and grow. It can't rain forever. You won't feel this pain forever. I promise you can change for better. I know people change, and things change for better. Yeah, I know times is kinda tough right now. Ain't nobody showing love right now. You a diamond in the rough right now. Love yourself, know your worth, you enough right now. I know times is kinda tough right now, and you rather be in love right now. But you a diamond in the rough right now. Love yourself, know your worth, you enough right now. Right now. Right now.
So that is one of the other songs on top of the gratitude songs that I played, that I listened to, because it is something that reminds me every day, especially when I'm feeling low, that I'm going to get through whatever it is that I'm going through, and that my past does not have to define me, but it also helps me to understand too a lot more how much more these adolescents need from staff that are supposed to be there to help them to not be so short-tempered, because we know already that they're going to try us. You know what I'm saying? We already know that. Anybody, and it's the same thing. I played this for the adults when I worked in Florida on the adult side. And they benefited from it too. Because guess what? A lot of us are nothing but a bunch of grown ass kids. Grown people with a little person inside of us that still needs to grow and still needs to heal and still need to deal with all that emotional baggage that we carry, that we have to make our way through. But just because we're in this adult suit that we've given up, gotten into and given up our child suit, does not mean that we still are emotionally at the place where we need to be mature and are adults. Because anytime we get triggered, what that trigger is, 9 times out of 10, it takes you right back to the first time that that thing happened at that age that you were. And so if you have not dealt with those triggers, with whatever that thing was, you're going to react the way that you would when it first happened. I see it all the time. I see it all the time. And so it has to be dealt with. So understanding the population that we deal with is really sad. It's really sad. And I wish that there was more that I could do. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, because there's times that I know that I've gotten upset and frustrated, but I always look at myself and how I want it to be understood. I hate that people don't take this job as seriously as they should. And it's not everybody. But I do believe that being in this field for myself, that I'm meant to play a bigger part, a bigger role, not just in the lives of the kids, but the lives of the staff that I also work with, so that they also can have someone demonstrate to them what it may look like too on the other side. Because I don't know how many other people share some of the experiences that I've had, and I'm someone that's come out on the other end of it. And then this is what I happen to be doing. I'm sorry this video is so long, y'all. I did not expect it to be this long. But, you know, it's just really crazy. The things that we need to go through, like I've shared with somehow, when I was 9 years old, I was severely molested and I was held up at gunpoint when I lived in Florida. Florida is the last place that I wanted to go back to live, because I still had trauma there that I needed to face that I didn't. I still don't like it. I lived there for like the last 2 years and I still don't like it. It was in a different part of Florida, but I was able to face that part of my life and get over it. And it's like, sometimes we really, really need to put ourselves in someone else's shoes. But I've grown and I've understood that I'm not that person that I was, but I do still know that I have to nurture that little girl inside of me that didn't get all those things that she was supposed to have gotten from her mother. I have to mother her. I have to give her everything that she needs. And the stronger I get, the more tools I get to put under my belt. And that means that that's more that I then have to be able to share with these other young people to help them to get by. Because again, I don't know how many staff have gone through some of what they've gone through, and anything of like what I've gone through, to be able to truly relate. But I love my job. I love what I do. And for anybody that feels like you've gone through so much and you doubt your value and your worth, I want you to look up You Are Enough by Londrell and let that become a part of your morning routine where you listen to that in the morning while you're washing your face, brushing your teeth, driving to work. It's always a good time to listen to it when you're, doing stuff like that and build yourself up. So again, I don't know who all needed to hear it, but that's my message. I'm taking my black ass to bed now because it is late and I was not planning on. It's going on 11 o'clock, y'all. But anyway, just something that I wanted to share. So I will talk to y'all later. And I wanted to say that this really was the first day that I so-called got to be on the job, like I shadowed. So I got to be in the house where I'm going to be working come Sunday. I work tomorrow, and then Sunday is going to be my real first full shift. So I'm glad that I'm in the house where I'm at. I had doubts, and I wasn't sure, but I always tend to go where I'm most needed. And I swear the one girl that's in there, I swear she was in Florida, and I've seen her in Florida before. Anyway, I hope this encourages somebody. If so, please drop it in the comments below. I am always anxious to hear if anyone resonates with what I say. So, like I said, until the next time, y'all, be well.